Angels waging war in the unseen realm. Global events fulfilling biblical prophecy. Eternal life. What lies beyond mortality? From analyzing the paranormal from a biblical worldview to the discussion of cutting-edge science and technology, conspiracy, discovery, special investigative reports. Unafraid to explore the challenging issues facing humanity. Welcome to another edition of SkyWatch TV.
A mysterious text found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 1950s, inscribed on thin sheets of copper, may point to the greatest archaeological find in all of history. Welcome to SkyWatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining us today is a gentleman who was featured in a book that we talked about for 4 weeks recently on SkyWatch TV, the book The Copper Scroll Project. Joining us today, this gentleman is the founder and director of the Copper Scroll Project. We welcome Jim Barfield to the program for the first time. Jim,
thank you very much, Derek.
This is fascinating stuff, and I got to admit, the first time I heard about the Copper Scroll, I thought this was just an internet conspiracy theory, because we hear enough of those in what we do here. We're sort of on the fringe of Christian broadcasting, but having met Shelley Neese, the author of the book about the Copper Scroll Project, and then having read some of the book, looked into the website, watched some of the videos available through the website, copperscrollproject.com, I realized, hey, this guy's maybe not crazy after all.
They all think I'm crazy, Derek, so that's okay. Not a problem.
Well, how did you get involved researching the Copper Scroll? And for people not familiar, what is the Copper Scroll?
The Copper Scroll is literally a scroll made out of copper. It's got 3 sections. It's about 7 feet long and about a foot wide, and it's got 12 columns. And each one of those columns describe just amazing amounts of treasure. Gold, silver ingots, gems, jars full of gems, but that's not the real treasure. The real treasure is the artifacts that may be found, and they're described in such a way that you can't hardly deny where they're at. And once you figure out how to understand this scroll, it's leading to a very enormous find, and it's all biblical. I believe all these items that are listed on there are tabernacle and temple items, first temple items, not second temple items.
So Solomon's temple.
Solomon's temple. A lot of the scholars will argue with me. That's okay. Have at it, because the possibility is there. That's why we're pushing so hard to try to get a meeting with the head of Israel, the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, because we want to look at him and say, here's what we found. What are you going to do about it? With respect, of course.
Sure.
Not demanding in any way.
No,
that's what this is all about. It's a copper document that had descriptions of locations for amazing amounts of treasure.
Now, this is found at Qumran, along the Dead Sea Scrolls. What's the significance of Qumran? Who was there and who left behind this Copper Scroll?
Common teaching is the Essenes. Now, these guys never called themselves the Essenes. That's the name I use a lot too, because it's pretty common. Everybody knows what you're talking about that knows about the Dead Sea Scrolls. These men lived at Qumran from way back in history. And they, in my humble opinion, Qumran is going to be one of the most important locations in all of Israel, second only to the Temple Mount, because Qumran was Jerusalem in the wilderness. And as we talk more, I'll explain more about that, but that's who they were, and they wrote just an enormous number of scrolls. And all of these discoveries are within the area of Qumran. It's a small community, is what it is, up on a plateau just above Highway 90 by the Dead Sea. And that place has got some really, really amazing things. It's really just a pile of rocks stuck together, mortared together, but they built a community that matches, the outer rims of it matches Jerusalem.
The shape of Jerusalem.
The shape of Jerusalem. And those men, I believe, were the prophets of Israel. When you hear stories about Jeremiah coming out of the wilderness Any of the prophets you hear coming out of the wilderness, that's where I believe they were coming from, and I've got a lot of evidence to prove that. So the treasures of the Copper Scroll are not just wealth. In fact, the real treasures are what's going to be learned about Qumran, what's going to be learned about the men of Qumran. One of them, who's my favorite prophet of all, is Jeremiah. Is right at the center of all this, and I think we're going to learn some things about him that people had no clue about.
So why would the religious authorities of Israel bury treasures from Solomon's temple? What was it that motivated them to take them out of Jerusalem to Qumran possibly and put them under the ground?
Well, actually, the only things they would have had to bring to Qumran were the artifacts that possibly could be there, one of them being the tabernacle of Moses. And if you believe 2 Maccabees, 2nd chapter, it says that Jeremiah, on his way to Mount Nebo, however you read that text, it may be on the way or when he got there, but I'm going to say on the way to Mount Nebo, he buried the items of the tabernacle, which includes the altar of incense, table of showbread, Ark of the Covenant, and he buried them in a cave, and if I'm right, we know where that cave is at. So Jeremiah, his role in this, that's why I'm saying it is so important.
So Jeremiah was a contemporary of Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. So they were trying to hide these things so that the Babylonians wouldn't take them away.
Jeremiah was the prophet that was involved in all of that with the Nebuchadnezzar. He's the one that told all the Israelis, guys, pack your bags, don't pray, don't pass go, just go home. Go home to Babylon because that's where you need to be. You're going to die if you fight these guys. He said, this is your punishment. You know why they were punished? Because they had forgotten or they didn't do the Shemitah years, which are the sabbatical years.
Okay.
70 sabbatical years they didn't do. Now this extends back to the time of whenever the temple was originally built by Solomon. Smartest guy in the world, wisest man in the world, and he didn't do the Shemitah years. Well, God said, well, you know what? I'm going to make you do the Shemitah years. You're going to let that land rest. And there were 70 sabbatical years they didn't do. So they go into Babylon
70 years
to pay the 70 years back. And Qumran was actually attacked by the Babylonians. There's a document called Emek HaMelech, which means Valley of the King. Treatise of the Temple Vessels is another name for it. And it tells a story. It tells who wrote the Copper Scroll. It tells that it was a copper scroll that they wrote it on, and it explains that all these items are there. So it tells what I was talking about is Qumran was attacked. It was almost destroyed. So those treasures were actually at Qumran. The majority of the treasures are already at Qumran. There's a building there that looks like a pyramid with the top cut off. That's the treasury. Everyone knew that the treasury was there in that area, but they didn't know where it was at. It's called the House of Hakaz. Hakaz was the name of the family that actually took care of the treasury of Israel. And that building is right there at Qumran, and no one has a clue about it. Well, now they do. The description on the Copper Scroll matches that treasury. So they took all of those treasures that were there after the Babylonian attack. 100 men, priests still existed. They lived through the battle. They took 5 men, and I think 2 of them for sure were little boys, about 13 years old, my guess. You can see the handwriting on there. It looks like they took a crayon to write these Hebrew letters on there with. They're big, they're backwards, they misspelled words. So I'm assuming that they were young men because what 2 men made it out of Babylon to start rebuilding the temple? 2 prophets in history, and they're named on the Emek HaMelech, the treatise of the temple vessels. They're named Zechariah and Haggai the prophet.
Right.
Literally names them on the document. That's why I'm telling you that Qumran is going to be really important to the nation of Israel soon. I mean, it already is because of the Dead Sea Scrolls. But once they realize that that place is the home of the prophets, it's going to go off the charts.
Well, we'll tell you how you can get a free copy of the book, The Copper Scroll Project. Shelley Neese documented the work that Jim Barfield and the Copper Scroll Project have done. You can get it free with a special offer we'll tell you about. When we come back, we'll discuss the key that unlocked the secrets of the Copper Scroll and what happens next. That's ahead on SkyWatch TV.
Millions of people from around the globe were stunned when U.S. President Donald Trump shocked the world by recognizing Jerusalem as the eternal capital of Israel and ordering the American embassy to be moved there.
The United States finally and officially recognized Jerusalem as the true capital of Israel and opened our embassy in the historic and sacred land of Jerusalem.
Over 2,000 years have elapsed since Jesus Christ warned of a day when a man of sin, the Antichrist, would appear to lead the world into deception and destruction.
Even Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admits that biblical prophecies are unfolding, that Donald Trump is a King Cyrus-like figure leading the world into a new era of man.
President Trump, by recognizing history, you have made history. The Temple Mount is in our hands.
Violent protests continued in the Middle East today over President Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
And now the official Sanhedrin in Israel declare President Trump is advancing a prophetic process that will usher in, when the time comes, the rebuilding of the Third Temple.
As the world awaits, a secret, incendiary scheme is underway by religious authorities, government agents, and Jewish rabbis to build a third temple.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in that holy place, then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be again.
The rabbis, Donald Trump, and the top secret plan to build the third temple.
For thousands of years, the world has heard warning that there is a coming day when the man of sin, the Antichrist, will arise to pilot the greatest deception in human history. Prepare yourself now for what is ahead with the coming Third Temple collection. This incredible assortment features Dr. Thomas Horn's new book, The Rabbis, Donald Trump, and the Top Secret Plan to Build the Third Temple, where you'll learn why many believe President Trump is a King Cyrus-like figure, guided by Hashem, God himself. The connection between Donald Trump, rabbis, and a behind-the-scenes scheme to erect the Third Temple, and how this, as the book of Daniel prophesied, will be the catalyst that precedes the apocalypse and arrival of Antichrist. All this and so much more. This unbelievable collection also includes best-selling author Carl Gallup's brand new book, The Rabbi, The Secret Message and the Identity of Messiah, which reveals how Israel's most venerated Orthodox rabbi, Yitzhak Kaduri, came face-to-face with the true Messiah and said that it was Jesus Christ. You may know that much of the story, but now you can learn what's happened since. Discover the secrets, witness tampering, intimidation tactics, global media, and powerful personalities who will stop at nothing, including death threats and even ritualistic curses to cover up this new, stunning revelation. But we're just getting started. The coming Third Temple collection also includes Shelley Neese's new book, The Copper Scroll Project, that highlights the decades-long quest to uncover Qumran's greatest secrets, the lost treasures of the Jerusalem Temple. Hold on to your hats as you'll also discover how the Dead Sea Scrolls were merely the tip of the archaeological iceberg as Jim Barfield's Copper Scroll Project tethers to Israel's modern battle for the Temple Mount, and how the secrets contained in the Copper Scroll, the most enigmatic of the Dead Sea Scrolls, might hold the key to one of the greatest treasures in Israel's history. But that's not all. You'll also receive the best of the first annual Blessed Hope Prophecy Conference on DVD. This 2-disc DVD collection is jam-packed with over 11 hours of mind-boggling revelations from presenters like Dr. Thomas Horn on deep state saboteurs and the secret destiny of America, Sharon Gilbert on the return of the ancients through pharmakia, necromancy, and virtual reality, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis on the inside war against President Trump by elite secret societies, and unforgettable presentations from celebrated theologian Dr. Michael Lake, Derek P. Gilbert, Josh Peck, and more. Also included in this amazing collection, the original 4-week investigative SkyWatch television series regarding the coming Third Temple on DVD, featuring Carl Gallups, Shelley Neese, and Dr. Thomas Horn. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of $180. Yours now for your donation of only $30 plus shipping and handling. Now's your chance to save big. The Coming Third Temple Collection, available now at SkyWatch TV store. Order online or call 844-750-4985.
Welcome back to SkyWatch TV. Please take advantage of our free mobile app. You can download these programs directly to your smartphone or tablet wherever you are, as long as you've got an internet connection. It works on Android devices, iOS devices, even the Windows Phone or Amazon Kindle Fire tablets. Links at the website, our website, for all of those app stores. Just log on to skywatchtv.com. We're talking with Jim Barfield, the director of the Copper Scroll Project, about this fascinating document inscribed on thin sheets of copper found at Qumran among the Dead Sea Scrolls and what it may point to. Jim, this was found more than 60 years ago at Qumran.
1952.
And you deciphered it in 2006?
2006, going into 2007. Actually, I started, it was the biblical holiday, Hanukkah.
Okay.
When I made the discovery. Hanukkah is the celebration of restoring the temple.
So
strangest thing.
The Dead Sea Scrolls have been examined by scholars for years because obviously there's a lot of historic and religious interest in the scrolls. The scrolls have also reinforced what we know about the Old Testament and documented that the books of our Bible, Hebrew Bible, and the Bible that we Christians use has been accurately preserved over the centuries. How come these scholars didn't figure this out? Why was a retired firefighter from Lawton, Oklahoma, the guy who figured this out?
Every rabbi, every government official has asked me the same thing, Israeli government official.
Sure.
And what I think it is I applied investigative techniques, which I learned really through my Bible research, but I applied that same techniques to get investigations, and I did very well in the investigative world.
As an arson investigator.
Arson investigator. I won Oklahoma Arson Investigator of the Year and International Arson Investigator of the Year. And that's what I did, is I applied the techniques that I learned from Bible research. And I didn't try to make the Copper Scroll say anything. What it is, I found each word. I hunted it up in my Strong's Concordance. Very simple. And I took the words and I plugged it in. Once I finished the sentence, plugging each one of these words in, what they really meant, I would read it. And it would tell me where to go, what to look for. And Qumran was the ruins that I selected because it starts off like this. Under the ruins in the Valley of Achor. That's what I did. I went to the Valley of Achor, knew where it was at. It was same name as the Valley of the King. And I find the first set of ruins that I picked was Qumran. I knew Qumran because I'd been studying the Dead Sea Scrolls for years at that point. And I just applied it all to Qumran because that's what it said. Never tells you to change locations. It just says under those ruins. And that's what I did. I applied it to that. And again, what I think, and no disrespect to the scholars that were studying this, no disrespect at all. I just kept it simple. The Armory, they tell you, keep it simple, stupid. So that's what I did. I kept it simple, and that's what happened, is I just simply plugged it in, read them, and I figured out all these locations. I think there's one that I'm not real sure about.
So how have you been able to corroborate your identification? Is that something you can talk about on the broadcast?
Yeah, I can do that. What I did was I went to Israel, and I laid my research. Strangest thing, a lady by the name of Juanita Patapony, a Comanche lady from Lawton, Oklahoma, heard about my research, and she saw a little portion of it, and she told me, Jimmy, I think I can help you. I said, okay, how's that? She introduced me, this little lady, sweet lady, introduced me to Shuka Dorfman, the man that was in charge of the Antiquities Authority of Israel. Met with him. He too thought I was a nut in the beginning of our conversation, but within 5 minutes, he was all over it. Because I was showing him my research, and I not only had maps, I had pictures of the actual locations, and I laid them in front of him, and I said, look at this. 4 locations later, he was calling the heads of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, the guys that was over the Antiquities. And we started from there. So I know we're right.
So that's intriguing. What would this mean, based on your conversations with representatives of the Israeli Antiquities Authority, some of the rabbis and so forth? What would this mean to them if excavations were to confirm what you suspect?
I'm not going to tell you the rabbi's name, but he's well known. I did the same thing with him, showed him my research. And he too thought I was a nut. But when I reached that 4th location, there's no denying that one. He literally got up out of his chair, came around to me, lifted me up out of the chair, kissed me on both cheeks, and looked me in the face and said, Jimmy, do you realize what this means to my people? And I told him, yes, it means the same thing to my people. They know that if in fact those things are there, that it's going to change the world. Time's going to stop for a few days until they absorb this and they understand what these things mean. Time's going to stop. But guys, it could be the beginning of a difficult time. But that difficult time, once it's over with, it's only a short time then, 7 years, possibly just 3.5, then we're going to go into a time, and this is why I do this. It's for my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and grandchildren after that, is we're going to be under the rulership of a righteous king. And we all know who that is.
Right.
So that's what this is all about, and that's what the Israelis expect whenever these things are actually found.
So you're talking about an event of prophetic significance.
Massive prophetic significance. It's hit your stopwatch. If we open that cave and the items that we think are in there are truly there, and there is a very special cave there at Qumran, hopefully. If that stuff's in there, punch your stopwatch, and all you prophecy guys, get ready, because all the things you look for all these years will begin to happen.
So the tabernacle of Moses, which is where the worship of Yahweh took place at Shiloh for over 369 years, that conceivably could allow for the worship, the sacrifices and oblations to begin again without and I know the Temple Institute is moving toward the construction of a third temple.
Very much so.
Tom Horn has written a book about that here recently, but they didn't have a temple for over 300 years. They were inside the tabernacle. And if that's inside that cave, things get really interesting really quickly.
We talked yesterday, and I was so surprised that your wife picked up on that just like this.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed.
She cut her teeth on prophecy. A little independent Baptist church in southern Indiana started teaching prophecy when she was like 4 years old. So I'm still playing catch up when it comes to what she knows. But I'm sure these are things that the rabbis, and we hear more and more proclamations from rabbis who were not previously known to make declarations like this. Messiah is here, or Messiah is almost here. If you had to venture, how do you see this fitting into the overall picture of events that we see happening around the world?
Well, first of all, what I believe these items are, is directly related to what you're saying. They're the dowry for the bride. That's really important. That's one of the things that rabbi told me.
Really?
Yeah, he told me, he said, these items that you're talking about, he said, these are the dowry for the coming bride. And we just, then it lit up in me. Well, back to your question about the tabernacle. If that tabernacle is in there, it's going to be in beautiful shape, because if Dead Sea Scrolls lasted out in the open for all these years, this cave is sealed, literally sealed with plaster. And we've actually tested some plaster at that location, and they have determined to be far more likely that it's man-made than natural.
So not a natural cover over this entry to where you think this is. Okay.
Yeah, and if that is in there, and they bring it out, and your wife said something very interesting, and I thought, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Qumran is an image of Jerusalem, and we'll put a picture on the screen hopefully in a little bit to show that that location matches up like this with Jerusalem. It's upside down, but when you rotate it, it matches up very nicely and fits into that. She said this, your wife, and I'm going to give her credit for this. She said, what if they took that tabernacle out of that cave and they set it up at Qumran? If it was represented Jerusalem in the wilderness, and I thought, oh my goodness, that could happen, because people have got the wrong idea of sacrifices. It's not what people have been taught years ago. It's not what it is. The sacrifices are a shadow of things to come,
right, and
a shadow of things that were. Guess what that means? This is oversimplification, and I don't mean it disrespectful at all, but it's like having a barbecue where everybody eats it, and some of course, were whole burnt offerings. But if they set that tabernacle up, those things could begin. The morning and evening sacrifices could begin. And these things, guys, these are not going to be given to the Antichrist. People are like, oh my goodness, you're leading up. No, I'm not. This is for the dowry for the bride. That time of the Antichrist is going to be short. And then those things will belong to the bride all out. It belongs to the bride and be utilized properly as God intends them to be used. And people got to understand that. This is not about the Antichrist. He's going to be a blip on the radar about 200 or 300 years into this new kingdom where we're going to be in. So that's why they're so significant. And that tabernacle, it can do a lot of things.
There are a lot of exciting things ahead. In fact, we've got more in the months ahead that we'll be able to tell you about concerning the Copper Scroll Project and the work of Jim Barfield. You can follow his website, copperscrollproject.com. Of course, keep your eyes at the website, skywatchtv.com, as Jim and the project continue their work in Israel. And Jim, we're just fascinated by it. Look forward to hearing more and working more with you in the months ahead. And we thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.